in the south of France, where they love the Citroën 2CV almost as much as a certain wheeler dealer.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Good.
But you want a picture of me, not you, Elvis.
Yeah.
Bonjour, monsieur.
La mairie is my car.
Hold out your hand. Cheese. Cheese. You want a picture? Oh. Thank you. Bon voyage. That's very nice. I think that means when you leave our town. Thank you. Au revoir. Au revoir.
But the real star out here is almost as old as Mike, our super rare four-seater 2CV Fourgonnette.
And even with my years of wisdom, I'm struggling to find the rear seats that could add some serious value to our van. But I'm chasing the lead. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Merci. Yeah, of course.
In the south of France, 2CV enthusiasts turn out even in the rain. It's just like back home.
What is it about the 2CV that you love so much?
Because since I have a driver license, I have a 2CV.
Right.
So.
And what about you? Do you ever work on it? You ever take it apart?
Yeah.
And it's easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
That's good.
But me, I'm not a real mechanic.
No?
No.
Nor Z?
No.
Oh, look, a Fourgonnette. Yeah. Yes. So that's what makes ours special. It's the four-seater because we've got the longer glass and we've got rear seats as well.
How long have you had this car?
14 years.
14 years, wow.
14 years.
And you drive a lot of miles?
Yes, but my first car was a Citroën.
Wow, amazing.
The love for the 2CV here is plain to see, which is good news for when we come to sell. We've got a 2CV Fourgonnette.
As long as we can finish the job.
What we're missing are the rear seats, and I can't seem to find any anywhere. Would you know where we can get rear seats?
Sorry. For a 2CV, we can find, but for a Fourgonnette, it's hard.
So the rear seat, we can't find it. Would he happen to know anyone where we can get it?
C'est très difficile de trouver les sièges arrière.
Les fourgonnettes d'origine à l'époque, il y avait que 2 places.
So there's only 2 seats originally. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Ours on the registration
Sur la carte
is genuine
Oui,
four-seater.
tout à fait. Oui.
Yeah. So it makes it rare and special.
Très rare, very rare.
We're struggling to find rear seats for it. They're missing.
You were struggling all your life.
It seems like every other part, there's so much supply. There's so many parts everywhere. You can get everything.
Yes, but that was done by a special company, so.
Okay, well, look, we're going to carry on looking.
Makes your car very rare.
Yeah.
Well, it is rare because at the moment we've got a four-seater that's only got 2 seats in it. So it don't get much rarer than that. We've certainly bought ourselves a very unusual Fourgonnette, but the search for those seats continues.
I'm going to leave Inspector Brewer on the trail while I investigate the mysterious traffic clutch. After huge success with the French farmers, Citroën designed this ingenious automatic clutch to increase the 2CV's appeal to urban drivers. Along with the car's small size and tiny turning circle, the traffic-friendly clutch made the 2CV a hit in the city as well. Right, that's the gearbox off. What we're going to end up doing is replacing this flywheel with the flywheel that incorporates the traffic clutch that Mike bought me, and that should give us that centrifugal clutch to make it much more usable in traffic. Right, let's have a look at this contraption. The actual friction plates don't look in too bad condition. I could give them a little bit of a clean-up, I'm sure. The other thing to inspect and check is the sort of spring tension. Do you know what? That's not great either. And that spring feels really weak. My best bet's to replace the clutch plates, and Mike sourced some new old stock. This is the way it works. Look, it has a flywheel in the sort of conventional sense on the back here, but bolted to it are a series of friction plates on the springs. Now, with the old one, it was those springs that were really quite light and had failed to the point where they had almost no springiness left in them. These new ones, with a little bit of a leverage there, you can see, really quite stiff, exactly as we need them to be. Now what happens is, under centrifugal force, those friction plates move out and make contact with a corresponding friction surface on this half. I can demonstrate it here with this very simple screwdriver and a couple of sockets tied to a piece of string. As they're hanging down there, you can see a very narrow profile to that whole setup. If I spin it, as it gets faster and faster, the sockets will move out into a much wider radius, like that. There you go. And that is centrifugal force at work. The same thing is applying here. As engine RPM builds up and these friction plates move out, because they make contact here and that friction builds, then the second half of the flywheel also begins to spin at engine RPM. Importantly, in the middle of all of that is the conventional clutch friction surface. Now, that clutch plate sits in there, and of course it's the clutch that connects the engine to the gearbox to then drive the wheels of the car. Now, that is of course not turning when this centre part of the flywheel isn't turning either. So when the friction plates make contact and the whole thing begins to spin, so does the clutch plate, therefore transmitting drive through the gearbox and on to drive the wheels of the car. It's literally brilliant. And for a little car like this, a potential delivery vehicle where it's going to be constantly stopping and starting, I mean, it's perfect. All I got to do is get it back in the car.
With Elvis racing through the oily jobs and with no leads as yet on those rear seats, I'm turning my attention elsewhere. We're in this region of France, which is famous for artistes and pottery, but I'm on my way to meet a young lady called Susan, who's carved herself out a niche of not only being a potter, but also restoring proper old number plates and painting them up, and I'm excited to meet her. Like Jack, Susan is an expat who's fallen for the charms of this corner of France. Susan, are you here?
Yes, here.
Hello.
Hello.
How nice is this? This is lovely, isn't it?
Thank you.
What a place. Very nice to meet you. So, first and foremost, I know I sent you the number ahead, hence you've made a start. But come on, tell me, what do you think of those?
Well...
The one thing that got me about this, when I first see this on the car, is that's legal. So you can literally paint over an old registration number and paint white letters on it.
On vintage, yes. It's for cars which are over 30 years old or cars which are no longer made.
Ah, right. So what's going on here?
Yeah, well, all I do is I just sort of attach the numbers.
Right, yeah.
And then I outline them and take them off and then paint within the lines.
OK, all right. Well, I'm hoping I can join in,
yes,
you know, and get
please.
do a bit of painting.
Yeah, I need some help.
I did get A-level, I'll have you know, A-level art at school.
Oh, really?
Yes, many, many years ago, so hopefully the skills are still there.
Take it away.
Right, so it's just a case of just gently scribing around the letter.
Yes.
Well, I would say that's not the straightest line in the world, but it will do. Right, now the tricky part, painting.
Super.
Susan uses a tough enamel paint that can cope with the high summer temperatures this region enjoys.
You've done this before.
Well, I've never actually painted a number plate before, I'm going to be honest with you. But, you know, I've painted a few Airfix model kits before. When you're painting Fokker on the side of an aeroplane, you want to make sure you get it right.
Yes.
Actually, when I look at what you've done and what I've done, I've not done too badly, have I?
No, I said you've done this before.
I haven't.
I can see that.
This is my very first ever number plate.
While Mike shows off his steady hand, I'm continuing my quest to give our Fourgonnette some more va-va-voom. Having cleaned up and now stripped the carburettor that I've taken off our engine, I've managed to get to the 3 jets on the inside that I'm going to replace with slightly bigger ones that should give us a little bit more performance from this second-hand carburettor that Mike managed to find me. So what I'm going to do is strip the top off this one. This is the main jet that sits in the bottom of the chamber there. It actually supplies the majority of the fuel under normal engine conditions, but it's not particularly accurate. It tends to supply more fuel than is required at different engine operating conditions, and so we have this, an air correction jet, which sits in the top here and compensates by allowing more airflow in at different stages to make sure the mixture's always accurate. It's very clever, yet very simple system. Right, that's the second one. And then there's another one just in the side here. And this is the idle jet. Now this one here just allows a tiny amount of fuel to just flow through when the engine's at tick over, and that's what keeps things at idle. Right, that's actually all I need out of that second-hand carburettor. So these 3 jets here are very, very similar. There's almost no discernible difference, but I can promise you the holes in the end are the tiniest amount bigger, and that's all we need to let more fuel in. As it's only the inside of the jets that's larger, the new one slots straight into position. A brilliantly simple upgrade. Right, there we go. Our carburettor is upgraded with larger jets, giving us that tiny bit more performance, but crucially, it's keeping the originality of the original piece on the car, and that should keep the French authorities happy. And happily for me, all that remains is to start putting the car back together.
But I still have some unfinished business with our 2CV. After literally exhausting every single person I've met in France to try and get the seats for this Fourgonnette, somebody has finally come through. I think I may have some rear seats, and I can't beat my luck. Hopefully, this call isn't going to be too good to be true. Bonjour. It's Mike. You just sent me a message. We're on a mission to rescue a rare 2CV Fourgonnette in the south of France.
I'm flat out.
This is flat out.
It's flat out.
No way. Is it? I can run quicker.
While I've taken on the mechanical makeover,
I've turned detective to track down what might be just the rarest set of seats known to man. Bonjour, un citron pressé and un espresso. And after days of searching, I've summoned Elvis for an urgent tete-a-tete.
hey mate,
Hello, fella.
fancy meeting you in another cafe, yeah?
This is where the thinking happens. I've ordered you a drink. I've actually ordered you a citron pressé because it's a squeezed citron, which is exactly what we got. So how are you getting on?
Yeah, I think most of the big mechanical jobs are done. All really I've got to do is to start reassembling it.
Cool.
How about you? How'd you get on those seats? The missing seats?
And you know that 2CV meet we went to?
Yeah.
Well, I was asking everyone, weren't I, for a set of chairs?
Everyone said you can't get them.
But you're talking to me.
Have you found some?
If you go and look underneath that cloth...
No way.
Oh!
Look at that. Fantastic. No
The
way.
unicorn has arrived.
Finally found them.
I don't think I've ever been so relieved to find a set of seats. And with a matching set of covers for the front, the whole lot comes in at less than 400 euros. So now we've got a proper four-seater. Look at that, that is your citron pressé.
Exactly.
Merci.
Citron pressé, monsieur.
Thank you. Oh, it's like drinking lemon juice. Try and do that and keep a straight face. Exactly.
Look, I've also been asking the local businesses and trades if anyone here would be interested in buying a Citroen, because this is a rural area and these are the people we're likely to sell the car to.
Yeah,
it's a great advertising hoarding for a shop, and I've landed us a gig.
What sort of gig?
You're going to like this. So me and you, we're going to go and deliver some bread for a boulangerie. Well, we've got to see if it works.
When are we going to do that?
Tomorrow morning.
No, really? Tomorrow morning?
Yeah, we're going to do it tomorrow morning.
No,
I thought you said you finished the car.
No, I said I'm nearly finished the car. I've still got to reassemble it. Are you serious?
Yeah, tomorrow morning, I said. You better drink up. Let's get back, and
you
we're
better
both
drink up as well, because I need a hand to get. If we're going to get us all back together, I need you to help me.
Don't worry, I've got this. God, that's strong.
With less than 12 hours until our boulangerie showdown, we've got plenty to do, not least getting that engine running. Right, we've got oil, gearbox oil, that's all connected. We're in neutral. I think it's time for the moment of truth. Yes! Oh, it sounds so good! Well, that is a relief. Unfortunately, the rest of the car bolts back together almost as easily as it came apart.
Especially with some help from a glamorous assistant. The iconic 2CV is the car that got France moving, and our charming Fourgonnette has certainly given us the runaround.
I had to use every trick in the book to try and give that twin-cylinder motor a bit more go and make the car easier to drive in modern traffic.
While I was hot on the trail of the ultra-rare rear seats, finally coming up trumps at the 11th hour.
With a total spend of just under €1,000, we've given ourselves a great chance of making a profit.
But first, an early morning test drive for our 2CV, French style. We're actually on our way in a Fourgonnette to go and deliver some bread. I don't know about you, but I actually feel more French than I ever have done in my life at the moment.
The only thing we're missing is like a couple of berets on our heads.
It's very true.
And I've got to say, with all the work we've done, I think it looks amazing. It's given it a service. It's given it some longevity. And it's given me peace of mind that all of those little jobs that get neglected on old cars like this have been done, you know?
And Deux Chevaux feels fitter than ever. Time to put it to work.